ring from somebody that was a little tiny little diamond.
And you weren't horrified at all?
No, I wasn't horrified. Worried.
The most ironic thing about this is that her whole fear was, who's going to take care of you? You're not going to meet a man, and who's going to take care of you?
I was from that school where you grew up, you got married, you had a husband, and he took care of things. And we stayed out there a while, and then we went back because all the family was there. And that's the way I remember it.
Betty DeGeneres says she never argued with her daughter, but did keep thinking, hoping perhaps she would change.
At times when I would have problems in relationships, she would say, now you see, why don't you just, give this up and meet a nice boy, and, why don't you just... She really just kept thinking it was a phase.
Well, it certainly would have been easier on her if it had been. This is not an easy thing. It's not an easy way of life, but it's who she is.
She never has understood it, and I don't think she understands it now, but she loves me, and she sees how happy I am.
I don't guess I need to get on a soapbox here about people who say it's a choice or this or that or it's wrong. It's who she is, and it's who so many people in this world are, who are creative and productive and wonderful, wonderful contributing members of society.
Why are you so sure this is not a choice?
Well, because I know Ellen. I know my daughter. And she has even said if it were a choice, she'd be with a man. It would be so much easier, but life isn't easy, and she's doing the very best she can. That's it.
They are a couple of improbable pioneers, this mother, this daughter. That's Betty DeGeneres making one of her cameo appearances in a promo for the sitcom.
You know, Elvis bought his mom a car. She didn't even do a promo for him.
All right, I'll buy you a car.
And she was there tonight, too, at the central moment in the hour.
I'm so afraid to tell people. Susan, I'm gay.
She was a middle American mom who would take pride that her daughter would grow up to become one of the cleanest acts in comedy. In fact, DeGeneres had her breakthrough appearance on The Tonight Show with a tender, funny telephone conversation with God.
Just pick up the phone and call up God. Listen, if you weren't too busy... Sure, hold on. Somebody's at the gate.
And now DeGeneres is a target of an inflamed religious right. The day of our interview, on the back page of Variety, an ad signed by people like Jerry Falwell, Phyllis Schlafly.
They say it's a slap in the face to America's families.
I'd like to know how many people in that list have relatives in their own families who are gay. You know, Ellen is such a good person. Now, I don't want to get weepy. I don't. But she's so good that she shouldn't have all this directed at her.
A good person, even a good little baby, her mother says. Though the parents would later divorce, the little girl was happy, loving dresses, dolls, and her older brother Vance, who treated her like a pest. Vance, who's now a writer on his sister's show, joined his mother for part of the interview. His sister says she remembers the moment she told him, too.
Was he surprised?
I don't know if... Yeah, I guess he was a little ashamed about it, I think.
I can't imagine that I was ashamed. Do you remember me having a problem with this?
No.
Please bail me out here. If that's true, she should hit me with a 2x4 or something for that. She gets a free shot for that.
One free shot.
Yeah.
Next week, the show has an episode in which the TV Ellen tells her divorcing parents.
Honey, just because you haven't found the right man doesn't mean you're gay. I mean, you're just very choosy, and there's nothing wrong with being choosy.
I'm not attracted to any men.
No, that's too choosy.
Some of it seems rooted in memory.
The DeGenereses just were not big talkers in the house. You didn't talk about things.
If it wasn't pleasant,
Even if it was pleasant.
Oh, really?
We didn't talk about stuff, no.
You know, you always wanted me to be open and honest with you.
Oh, no, honey, that's what you wanted. Now, we were always very happy keeping our feelings bottled up.
So the
saying
real-life
about
brother
the,
and sister with similar senses of humor resorted to jokes.
I think we dated a couple of the same girls. That was a weird thing. He didn't like that.
I think we did actually date a couple of the same people, as odd as that sounds. And it sounds odd, I agree, but, you know, New Orleans is a small town. You know, what is it, 800-900 people or something, so you're bound to date the same people anyway, you know.
And there's one more family member not heard from. Those of you who watched us last week may remember that it was still difficult for Ellen DeGeneres to speak about what happened 20 years ago, when she told her father and his new wife her secret, and their reaction was...
The woman he's married to had 2 daughters, and they asked me to move out of the house after that. And, I mean, they just thought it would be better for me to, you know, live somewhere else. And I've never really, like, acknowledged that, but that was bad. Because they loved me and I loved them, and they didn't want me in the house.
If I did, I think I was wrong. It's that simple.
This is her father, Elliot DeGeneres.
Sometimes
He says he doesn't remember the details, but does remember the family turmoil about his daughter in their house.
It was our perception, my perception at the time, I guess, that they didn't think that was a good idea. But I guess...
And what did she say? What kind of concern did she express?
Well, just the fact of Ellen's situation and some girl activity, that sort of thing.
Would you want your father to apologize?
No, I think they'll be shocked that I actually said this, and they'll probably be somewhat embarrassed by it. And I don't mean to embarrass them. I'm not saying it to embarrass them, because my dad does love me, and my stepmother is a huge fan, and that was their ignorance. You know, they just didn't know.
Was it ignorance? I don't know. I'd never really studied it or read about it or thought about it. I guess when you don't have all the facts on anything, that's a factor of some ignorance, I guess.
DeGeneres has told us that she's talked to so many gay people who were treated with real rejection and abuse by their parents. She knows she's one of the lucky ones. More about her life today in a moment. Next week, when all the headlines about the Ellen episode finally recede, a real woman will still be living with the consequences of her decision. She has said she had to take the risk, that this was not a decision about TV programming, but about being honest and unafraid in your life. So we ask more about her off-screen life. Are you in a relationship now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very happy.
Forever, maybe?
I think it's forever, yeah. Yeah. That's a good feeling. It's the first time I've ever felt like forever.
This weekend at a black-tie dinner in Washington, she appeared with actress Anne Heche, who says whatever the career risk, the truth matters more. There's even a ring.
Has there been a ceremony?
No ceremony. No. Just commitment.
What do you look for in a woman?
The same things anybody looks for in anything. I mean, whatever. I think intelligence, a sense of humor,